Hello. Well, my project is on the American Dream, and before I get started on the presentation, I'd like for you to look at the background. I remember when I first started learning about American history and the American Dream, what I pictured in my head was people living in the suburbs, especially like big cities like in Boston, Chicago, New York. They would drive from the suburbs all the way up to the city, and then they would go back home to their families and their children. But it was the ideology of having the perfect family, the perfect home, the car, the job. So I kind of thought it was nice. So then the dream is a vision of a better, deeper, richer life for every individual, regardless of the position in society which he or she may occupy by the accident of birth. So if you're born into a rich family, well, great for you, and I guess you have it easier, kind of. But if you were from a working class or middle class, it doesn't mean your possibilities of having a good future is destroyed, because you can still work up the social ladder through hard work. So for people, it could either be financial stability, making enough money to retire, work for oneself, or making more money than what your parents make. So it has constantly morphed depending on the wants and needs of people. But today it is known as like the dream of consumption, because it is a shift from civic and communitarian interests to personal and private ones. So before, it used to be more of a we that now has turned to me, which is self-improvement, social survival, individualism. Expectations continue to rise. And then wealth is a strong factor, because with wealth, well, you don't have to struggle. You can buy basically anything you want. So the pressure to succeed is higher. And people think they can achieve great things because they believe anything is possible. But they also have to realize that sometimes our desires exceed our resources, which is not really good. So it is a promise that all Americans have a reasonable chance to achieve success through their own efforts, and to attain virtue and fulfillment through success. So it is just reaching a higher social and economic position, mainly in the working class and maybe middle class to work into higher class. But it's getting out of control. Mainly, I think society has forgotten the morality of what we should and what we need, just because they're trying to pursue money and what money can buy. Like, if you play Monopoly, it is a metaphor about the American dream. So even people get mad playing a game. So if they're losing in a game, imagine people who are poor and lower classes. So if you win, you basically own all the properties, and you're getting money from people who land in your places, which is like rent, and if they want to buy your home and all that cool stuff. So more or less, the journey is more exciting, because that's the adventure, and like once you made it, well, you're already living it. So yeah. So then today, well, back then, sorry, it was the golden age, and then before that, it was the American nightmare, because, well, every goodness has bad things, so that was considered the evil twin. The dream of a richer, better human life has now become a statistical standard of living. Well, that was in the 1920s. But then that was when the market crashed, and then that's what turned into the Depression, and then that's where the American nightmare came out of. But then luckily, in the golden ages, which was between 1940s to 1970s, that's when the Middle Ages got created. But then in the 1960s, it was pretty good. Companies were hiring people, mainly after World War II, everybody coming back to their nation. They got good jobs, they were offered health insurance, and they were promised a secure retirement. So wages rose faster than inflation. So then that way people started buying more homes, they were able to go on vacations, they didn't have to worry about money crisis, whether they would have enough money to send their children to college. So manufacturing careers were the ideal jobs, especially in the auto industry. So then in the 1970s, Americans near the bottom, that's when they started working their way up, and then as they gained more experience and made more money. So then in the 1980s, mobility slowed down a little since the post-war boom had already started selling. And then technology-based global economy made it tough for blue-collar employees to try to escalate the social ladder. And then in the 1990s, the economy got good again, a little better, not bad. But the working class sent their kids to college. They started buying some homes too. But then the middle class got kicked off the ladder as a part of corporations trying to cost-saved measures. So they kind of started paying people less, and they started making more money. So it's mainly just class problems right now because it's mainly super rich people and then poor people. So there's a big change in the 24th century. It's like Walmart and McDonald's, they pay their employees minimum wages, and they don't even offer health insurance or pensions. And it's funny because supposedly there's a higher probability of you getting admitted into Harvard than actually obtaining a job that pays you $15 an hour. So even if there are openings, it's really competitive. So say if it's like just a couple hundred jobs, thousands of people are gonna apply, and that's the thing, not everybody's gonna get a job. So as a student today, there's a lot of issues that once you graduate from college, you might have a degree, like say in business, well, that's a bad example, like in science, and you can find a job. So instead of going into science, you go into business or into something else other than your degree. So I think youth right now, they don't really believe in the superiority of their country as compared to youth in Germany, Spain, or Britain, who they think their own culture is superior. So maybe today the US is not the exceptional land of opportunity anymore. So then it goes down into the leading 1%, the leading 1% of the population versus the rest of the 99%. And then the leading 1% is composed of 3 million people, and they earn mainly 2/3 of the nation's entire economic gains. And then it's sad because only 99% of the people, they only gain 1/3, and that is divided into 310 million people, which is way more than 3 million people. So just basically the super rich have accumulated trillions and the middle class like stagnating. And basically what people think is we sold America to the highest bidder, like the president, or we gave our nation away to super rich people, which are the winners in America. And then that 1% is made up of wealth holders, entrepreneurs, athletes, Hollywood stars, fund managers, or senior firm officials. So it's pretty interesting. And then that's it. Because as a college student, I would like to go to a four-year university. Tuitions keep increasing, and my dream would be to graduate without owing loans, which is the problem because a lot of students, they can't afford an education, so they're forced to take out loans. And basically the foundation is if you go to school, you can get a good job. But then it's controversial now because many people aren't finding jobs in their field of study. So it's complicated and it's interesting. But the hopes of America, who knows what they are, but hopefully they're not horrible. But that's it. Thank you.